Hi, I just finished reading this book, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, by a Japanese author, Toshikazu Kawaguchi. Apparently, this was a bestseller some time ago. I was late to the party. It's such a pretty cover, just the teal of the band and very minimalistic illustration. Anyway, so the book is, I think, one of the most fantastic stories and narratives that I have read in a while. And this is despite reading a Herman Hesse novel some time ago. So now the book is about a coffee shop in Tokyo, and one of the seats in that coffee shop allows you to travel back in time. So the question that the book actually begins with is asking you that if you could travel back in time, who would you meet? Now, this time travel has certain rules. One of the rules is that you can travel back in time only once. You can only meet somebody. If you've sat on that seat and you've traveled back in time, you can only meet someone who had actually visited the cafe. Um, in the time that you travel back, you cannot move from that seat, but most importantly, you have to come back to the present before the coffee gets cold. And the other thing is that nothing that you do in the past, I mean, that when you do travel back in time, nothing that you do then will change the present. So, if you wanted to save somebody, kill somebody, stop someone from leaving, push someone to leave, any of that is not going to change the present. So, if the present is not going to change, then, you know, does it make sense to go back? And that I think is the beautiful crux of the story. There are four characters. There are four or five characters that travel back in time, and the book actually gives you details of four of the stories. One of the stories you don't know anything, and it is just so amazing. It's hard to describe all that without giving away spoilers, but it's just amazing that how such big, bold concepts are discussed in a very minimalistic, very routine way. It's a small coffee shop. It's run by husband and wife. The description of the whirring of the fan, the summer, the way the coffee drips, or the way it is brewed when it's being when it's being siphoned, and things like that. It's these little things that while somebody is making the leaps and fates of, I mean, leaps through time travel and going into some quantum dimension, etc., on the other hand, a regular life is still moving, and in that life people are having their hearts broken or their hopes dashed, or just worry come over them about what's going to happen, not just what's going to happen in the future or what's going to happen if I do this or what, but just generally what's going to happen to me, to my life, to the world as I know it. And uh, it, maybe that's the thing about a lot of Japanese novelists that I've read, that there is a nobility that comes across, a nobility and an innocence that comes across in the way they write about pain, that it's not so much just the pain but in the acceptance of it. And that no matter how much one is living in life, even if you have the superpower to bend time and all that, if you have a human existence, you're still going to um, have certain moments where you will be tender, so tender that you can be damaged for good. And despite that, how do you continue living? Um, it's a fabulous book. There are these descriptions of characters who look at each other with love, or who look at each other and say, I'm sorry. And these are very simple phrases, but in the context in which it is said and the build up to the way it is said is so deep. I don't think it is possible to read this book and not be moved at a very visceral level. So it's a beautiful, gorgeous read.